Please join me in welcoming an exceptional young man to the stage to share his story, Alan Guerrero.
On August 19th, 2022, when I was 17 years old, I went to the beach with my friends. It was a typical summer day for a teenager heading into his senior year of high school. I was having a good time, and everything felt amazing, walking along the coast, kicking up sand, and soaking up the summer sunshine. That night, I returned home, showered, and went to bed. But when I woke up the next morning, on August 20th, it was completely different from the day before. I didn't feel great at all and couldn't keep food down. I figured, oh no, I guess I caught a bug at the beach. As the days progressed, I kept forgetting things. I started feeling really tired no matter what I was doing. I was bruising easily, I had sweats and chills. My body felt like it was going crazy. I was confused at the time. Once I developed a fever, my parents knew we had to figure out what was wrong. We drove to the hospital, and the doctors began to eliminate what it could be from a list of potential illnesses. COVID? No. Appendicitis? No. Pneumonia? No. Mono? Maybe? What was going on with me? There was a lot of back and forth, heading into the hospital, returning home, video calling with doctors. Whatever was wrong with me, I figured it'd pass before we even got answers because of all the time it was taking. On the morning of August 30th, we found our answer: leukemia. At the time, I didn't know what leukemia even meant. I didn't know what an oncologist was when I was referred to one. That night feels like a blur. Some of the details feel fuzzy, while others are in perfect focus. I remember the green wristband on my left arm. I remember the morning sun shining through the window. I remember the nurses coming in and out of my room. I remember the translator diligently conveying the doctor's words into Spanish for my parents. And I'll never forget Dr. Richards, standing in a pretty floral dress with yellow flowers, while she told me the news. Cancer. I might not have known the word leukemia, but I knew the word cancer. Hearing that word, I didn't really feel anything. I felt numb. It didn't feel real. I didn't say out loud, not to my parents or the doctor, but I thought, I guess this is how it ends. All I knew about cancer was that people die from it. I didn't think there was a possibility of living. I didn't want to tell my parents that's what I thought. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't freak out, I just immediately assumed that my life was done. What's next? I started chemo an hour later, and the headaches decreased immediately. By the time I was going home on September 4th, I'd had some time to start processing. I learned that my prognosis was good, and that helped, but now I also had concerns about how I was going to finish high school. My days went between worrying about an English essay or a math test, and then getting blasted with chemo, or receiving a bone marrow biopsy, or Dr. Richards asking me if I'd like to hold her hand as I'm rolled into surgery. And I did. The next months were spent going in and out of the hospital. At one of my appointments, my mom asked me if I'd be interested in signing up for JoyRx mentorship. No, I wasn't interested. I don't need some random guy pitying me. I was feeling alone in the hospital since my friends couldn't visit, and the appointments could be stressful and isolating. But I'd feel even more awkward if some dude was there. Plus, even though I was a pediatric patient, I was going into my senior year, and I thought, hey, I'm almost an adult. I need to grow up. But my mom encouraged me, and how could I say no to my mother? So I said yes, and that's when I met Tom, my JoyRx mentor. And yeah, it did feel awkward at first when Tom came to my appointments. He was trying to figure out what I liked. Mentors have their big toy bags, but I'm not a little kid. So what do you bring a teenager like me? What do you do to spend the time when the 18-year-old isn't interested in Play-Doh or Build-A-Bear? But Tom knew, and started bringing games and puzzles, and eventually he introduced cribbage to me. And turns out, I really like playing cribbage. At first, I didn't understand the rules. I thought Tom was just making up random things, because it all sounded too weird. I tried to teach the game to my friends when I was out of the hospital, and they looked at me like I was crazy. So it became Tom's and my thing. And that was the best part. It was ordinary. Looking at it, just sitting together, playing a game, and chatting about our days could seem almost boring. But in the strangeness and stress of treatment, I craved these simple interactions. It was those mundane moments that made all the difference for me. I finally felt normal, and because of Tom, I felt like myself. I appreciated Tom. He was an adult, but not one of my parents. He was a friend, but not a teenager. He was there for me, and he wanted to talk with me. Very quickly, I stopped worrying about whether he was pitying me, or if he even wanted to be there. I knew that he did, and I knew we were friends, and that's what mattered. Whenever I talked to Tom, it felt like another outlet for release and processing. He was encouraging and supportive of my journey, being a cancer survivor himself. We've walked a similar path, and his insights, suggestions, and encouragement meant so much. I admired him, I felt his unconditional support. I knew that if I had to cry, he'd be there for me no matter what. After months of treatment, I was in maintenance. I was in college doing surprisingly well in my classes. I had a trusted professor who really encouraged my learning and helped me combat my imposter syndrome. Things were looking up. I started counting down the days on a whiteboard. 100, then 99, then 98. On December 22nd, 2024, I took my last set of pills. And just like that, I finished my cancer treatment. I got to ring the bell. But it wasn't until I was on the car ride heading home And just like that, I finished my, oh yeah, sorry. But it wasn't until I was on the car ride heading home with my parents that everything felt different. This time it sank in. I was leaving the hospital, and this time it was for good. Today I've started my junior year at Portland State University, where I'm studying biochemistry. And I'm so grateful to just be an ordinary college student, making friends, TAing for my favorite professor, hiking, playing video games, and sipping boba with my friends. I'm looking forward to what this new school year will bring and to what the future holds for me. But most of all, I'm looking forward to the mundane. Average, normal, mundane. Maybe these are things that some young people my age might scoff at. But for me, it's a gift to wake up in the morning and simply feel normal. Because during my time in treatment, that was so hard. And that's what Tom gave me, a chance to feel normal with him. Playing cribbage, talking about my problems, thinking about the future. So many kids are going through exactly what I did, and some won't be as lucky as me. And that's why we're here tonight, to help bring joy to them. Joy Rex matters, and I've found that joy is important regardless of how long it lasts. Even one small moment of joy can make an entire day different. Even one mundane, average, normal moment can spark a whole lot of joy. So my mom was right. I needed to say yes to Joy Rex. I needed to meet Tom, and I'm so grateful that I did, and grateful that an ordinary friendship can be truly something extraordinary. Thank you.